So Des, you have a fantastic story. So I'm not going to tell your story because I want you to.
Got it.
But you ended up, ultimately, you were in a household where your dad was one of the co-founders of the fastest growing franchises in America. And then you end up buying a Mosquito franchise.
Yeah.
So, and you've got so many things in between there. So maybe take us back a little bit. Like, let's talk about, your history and your past and how you got to this point.
So I was born, just kidding. So I always like to start off, it's so funny growing up in an entrepreneurial mindset. Some people have chores, right? They have, the trash can, cleaning the room, things like that, and they get an allowance for it. I owned a vending machine. I'm not sure if you remember this, Ryan, but I actually put it in one of the warehouses that we had at the time. And the first time we went and got all the change out and things like that, we had 3 different piles. We had the pile that went back into it because you got to give change. We had the pile to go buy more inventory, and I'm so stoked. Here's this big pile, right? And my mom goes, and this is what you owe me because I bought the franchise for you, right?
Yeah.
So then that was that click that goes, okay, once I pay this off, this all becomes mine. So you kind of go from, do I want to be a 9-to-5er or do I want to, own my own business? And so throughout that process, I grew up in high school and I worked in the stores or I worked in different, businesses that he had ventured into. And I decided to go my own way, right? You don't always want to follow the path of your father a little bit. And I moved out to the big city in Los Angeles, but I stuck in the wellness space. So I went into fitness and I worked for a startup that ended up acquiring, Title Boxing Club. So one of the largest boxing group fitness classes in the world. So I got to see it on a global scale as well. But my W-2 wasn't changing, right? I'm that perfect person that goes, I got to go make this life for myself. I got to go live life on my own terms. So I went to you and I said, what do you got, right? I was super open, super honest, like give me anything and everything. And I landed on this dirty, home-based business that wasn't wellness. It wasn't high-end fitness, living in LA, with the slick back hair and the eyelashes and everything like that. It was Mosquito Show. And so I went from, making sure that my makeup was good every single day to putting on a hat and putting on a 60-pound backpack and making it work. But I had grown up that way, right? I grew up saying that this was my last dollar and I'm going to live it that way. So
go ahead.
So Des, knowing you for a long time, one of the things when you came and wanted to work with Tyler about buying a franchise, the thing I knew is you were going to be successful at whatever you did, right? But you had the option to choose any franchise brand, and you chose a boring Mosquito franchise. So What was it about that franchise? What were the characteristics of the business that was appealing to you?
Well, I use this quote often, and I actually use it now working for Sidekick as well. So I steal it from you. And it's not sexy. This is not a sexy business, right? And me being out in Los Angeles, you think, ooh, like I need to be involved in something, that's niche, that's like high end. But we kept looking at the numbers. We kept looking at the home base, right? I was living in a little apartment in Brentwood at the time, right? And I could run it out of that apartment. I was like, okay, that kind of works. The startup cost, right? Because I was in my 20s.
Yep.
What can we do to make this work? So every little thing kind of that was sexy about the business, the ROI, the startup, the home base, me in a truck outweighed the fact that it was pest control.
Right.
And I can get behind anything if it matches my core values, regardless of the area that it's in. So when I think about my core values, I think about happiness. So makes me happy.
Yep.
Makes the clients happy because they're not getting bit outside.
Yeah.
Healthiness. At the end of the day, we are controlling disease, and community. And that was me getting into my community. So I could get behind any sort of business, how dirty it may be, and run it.
Yeah, I love that you brought it back to core values, though, because often people think I don't want to be in a business like that for whatever reason. But when you know what's important to you, healthy, happiness, community, a Mosquito brand absolutely fits all those 3 things. So then I want to fast forward because we're a little over a year after you becoming a franchisee, and you've already got it to a place where it is what we call semi-absentee. So it's not dependent on you day to day to run it, which makes your business significantly more valuable, by the way. So just talk about the things you did to set it up that way.
So I dove into it. I actually reached out to you. I don't know if you remember this. And Ryan does a really good job without telling you the answer, by telling you the answer. And I said, hey, can I keep my job and do this business? And he said, if you want it to be successful, you got to be involved. He didn't tell me I should leave my job. He didn't tell me that I needed to, be the technician, but he told me without telling me. So I go, all right, we're going to make this work. I didn't pay myself being that technician,
right?
Because I knew I wanted to put the money back into the business. I knew that stretch of 18 months to get me to where I wanted to go. And when I did that, that allowed for the cash flow to flow over to that next year, which let me, not have to put any more money into the business, not have to do anything but just bring people in and train them well.
Yeah.
So then that first full season of mosquito control, we started bringing people in. We started, I started pushing to where I was moving more and more away, and then come to, this season, my second season. So think just 2 seasons in, I have moved myself out of the day-to-day. I have a manager in place. That manager runs those technicians. And now I work on the business, on a seasonal business, mind you. So now we still get that time to think about what worked, what didn't, who do we need to keep, who do we need to let go, and how do we fix it to make it better in the future.
100%. I love it because you're saying so many, I just want to keep diving into this. You said something that you sacrificed for the first year by being involved in the business and not paying yourself. And now just over a year later, you're in a position where you're not part of the day-to-day. And we tell our clients that all the time. And too often, I think clients think it means what you did. You were in a position in your life where it was okay not to pay yourself, right? And not everybody is there. Sometimes they've got a family to support, they've got responsibilities, but there still has to be some level of sacrifice. Maybe that means that you're living in a smaller home for a period of time. You're driving a car that's not as nice as you would like. You don't buy new clothes for a period of time. You don't go on vacation. I don't know. It's different for everybody. But there is some level of sacrifice that I believe if people make for a short period of time, sacrifice today for what you want tomorrow. My wife, she hates that I say that now because it used to be on our checks. Remember when checks were a thing?
Yep.
Literally, it would say our names and it would say sacrifice today for what you want tomorrow, because I just wanted us to always remember when we were about to write one of those things, is it necessary because we were building a business?
Yeah.
I want to talk on passion and profits. I think that's important because people bring that up, right? They're like, I don't want to do a mosquito, or they think about their next big venture. They're thinking about something sexy and exciting. But you said that. I want to dive into it deeper. So what are you passionate about with your business right now? The widget itself, you're probably not passionate about, but you're passionate about maybe X or X or X, running or growing or whatever that looks like.
Getting into the business, I think I was passionate about making it profitable. Let's not forget, I'm an athlete at the end of the day, so let's be competitive and let's win. And then it kind of moved into going back to sales. So I kind of dove into it saying, I got to do it all. And then I kind of relinquished some of that, right? I had a little bit of that power struggle. And I started using some of the tools and assets that come with the franchise shortly after, whether that be a call center, whether that be marketing tools and things like that. But I felt like I had to hold on to everything, which made me super passionate about it because then it was my own, it was my baby. I always like to tell my team, every dollar that comes in is mine, but every dollar that's missed is also mine. That's kind of the thing that made me super passionate about it. And now moving out into it, it's about growing a business for sure and thinking about that exit value. I talk to a lot of my clients. We don't have to be in this business for life.
Yes. How
do we grow this to where we can sell it to then do something else, right? We can keep building on that momentum, building that generational wealth. If you have kids, how can we get them involved in the process the same way I grew up, things like that. But I would say what I actually fell in love with also was I hire people who don't just want to spray for mosquitoes. I ask them in the initial interview, what's your life goal? What do you want to do? One of my technicians currently has their own business. So how can I be helpful in that? How can we help, grow you as a salesperson, or where are your weaknesses? So just going beyond teaching them how to spray for bugs has been the biggest, passion that I found through this
That's
business.
Fantastic. Where's the next? So if you look at your business now, are you going to scale this up, or are you going to look at more boring businesses down the road?
Definitely going to scale it up. There is that thought of exiting. Like I will not, shy away from that. But I think boring businesses are super fun. People are like, man, I don't know. But look at the numbers. Look at what you want to do for the rest of your life. You don't get back time. I can replace money day in and day out. But if I can flip this business, get it to a quicker place to where it's profitable, to where I can gain back time, not only with, hobbies and passions that I'm currently in, but my family. Oh man, I don't care what I'm doing. Because what I'm actually passionate about and what I can actually do with that dirty business or with that, that boring business makes it so much more worth it.
There's so much wisdom in what you're saying here. And I want people that are hearing this to think about their own situation, because often they say, I don't want to kill mosquitoes for the rest of my life, right? And that's not what we're talking about. There is a business for every person at the part of life they are in based on what they're looking for. So you just so happen to be at a point in your life where you were still in your 20s, right? And so some franchises maybe were not an option for you just because of startup cost at the point, right? So you decide to buy a business that is less expensive to get into, requires less from a build out or a retail perspective, right? It's more of a work from home equipment based business, but you executed on a strategy. You got it to a place that's profitable without you. So now you have what I think is the most important part of a franchise, which is exit or enterprise value. And if you choose, you can continue to create cash out of that business, which is great, or you can exit it and get into something else that maybe does more fit with whatever your passion is. So I think too often people think, well, if I decide that I want to kill mosquitoes, or if I want to do restoration or get up and hang gutters, that's what I have to do for the foreseeable future. And the truth is, as soon as you have real enterprise value in that business, you have options. So anyway, I'm not really looking for an answer there. I just want to point out how much wisdom is in what you were saying and how it can apply to so many people at a different part of their life.
Yeah. Would you have ever looked at a Mosquito franchise without working with an advisor?
No. And I'll be honest too, I didn't know where to start. And I think a lot of the times when I get, clients in front of me, they want to start their own business, but they don't know where to start. Not only from the perspective of what businesses are out there, finding Mosquito Shield, but I grew up in that lifestyle. So I worked it from the franchisor side and I saw it from the franchisee side. So I was a little bit ahead of the game. But when it comes to an advisor, we know so much beyond just the brand. We can give so many tips, tricks, and tools along the way. So that way those bumps and bruises don't become bumps and bruises. And that's even before you find the franchise, right? Our goal is to reduce risk. So beyond just the brand, we have so much more to offer.